Experience action. Let's stop just talking about customer experience, employee experience, and the experience of leaders. Let's turn ideas into action. Your host, Jeannie Walters, is an award-winning customer experience expert, international keynote speaker, and founder of Experience Investigators, a strategic consulting firm helping companies increase sales and customer retention through elevated customer experiences. Ready, set, action.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Hey, we're here again with another fantastic question. Any CX leader out there, you need to listen up.
Hey, Jeannie, all the talk about a possible recession has those of us in the CX department a little bit worried about our job security. Is there anything we could be doing now to demonstrate how valuable we are to the company and encourage higher-ups to view our jobs as non-negotiable? Thanks.
Okay, I really appreciate this question because I'm hearing this from different leaders that we work with, different leaders I'm seeing at conferences. There is some anxiety out there, isn't there, folks? And that's okay. But there are things that CX leaders, in my humble opinion, could do better to make themselves more valuable, to be seen as indispensable, to be seen as absolutely non-negotiable, as our wonderful listener put it. So here we go. I'm going to give you a few ideas, but there's a lot more you can do. So before anything, I want to first of all say that the work you're doing is important. It is something that will move the organization forward. However, that only works if you work it. And what I mean by that is we have to make sure that we're not just reporting on numbers. Do not let yourself be a number narrator and think that that's valuable, because that's not enough. So let's start from the beginning. The first thing you need to do to make sure that CX is seen as non-negotiable and that your role as a leader is ultimately important to the success of the organization is have clearly aligned CX goals that are in sync with what is most important to your organizational leadership. So think about this. Across departments, they are all dealing with their own unique obstacles and objectives, and they might not really see how investing in customer experience is important to them. So what you need to do is think about what your leaders care about. If you can show your sales leaders how their numbers are directly tied to a stronger customer experience for all customers, if you can let them know that, you know what, if the reputation of your customer experience gets better, if word of mouth gets better, if you have higher retention and customer lifetime value, then what you can do is actually make sales easier for them. You can help them achieve their goals.
Yay!
You can look at how your financial team is there and how they are really looking to figure out, how do we increase revenue? How do we decrease expenses? If you can talk about how investing in proactive, intentional customer journeys can actually decrease service costs, that might get their attention, right? And then, of course, talk to your product team. What are they working on? What is that future roadmap? Do they know if that's connected to what customers actually want? If you can align these goals with your CX goals, then what happens is people start realizing it's a win-win, not just for you as the leader and not just for the CEO, but for everybody across the organization. One of the challenges we have as CX leaders is that the math is harder. It's a lot easier to say, you know what? Look at all the customers that came in through sales. It's a more complicated, complex calculation when we're talking about customer experience. The whole idea of it is that really we have to work at intentionality. Customer experience is often sort of approached in a reactive way. And what we want to do is show everybody how investing in proactivity here will serve everyone. So the other thing I recommend you start doing right now is you start talking to leaders across your organization and you really show them how this is a give and take. If they have given you feedback, if they have approached you about things that aren't working, make sure you let them know when those things are solved, when the feedback is heard, when you're closing the loop. Don't be afraid to celebrate those quick wins and small victories and make a big deal. So when you are communicating, Don't just think of your boss or even your boss's boss. Think about how can you communicate across the organization to get other leaders on board with what you're doing. Start identifying your ambassadors, those leaders who get it, who want to support you, and start really looking for those skeptics. It's time to win the skeptics over. And the way to do that is with real value, with real numbers, and with their real goals. So work to increase the number of ambassadors. That's actually a great little personal goal for you. If you are looking at what can I do right now? What can I do in the next 6 months? Work on trying to get those ambassadors around you who understand the value that you bring. So maybe you've created a customer experience champion program, or maybe you've created something new that isn't quite tested yet. What are your goals for that program? Make sure you're communicating that. Because if you just say, we want to be nice to customers, we want to hear customers, we want to collect feedback, none of that actually drives the business forward unless it's tied to your goals. I see a lot of organizations who collect plenty of feedback, but they never quite take that next step and turn those insights into action. I also see a lot of CX leaders who are set up for not succeeding. They are told, you are responsible for these metrics. You are responsible for Net Promoter Score. And yet they have absolutely no accountability or responsibility or resources around the things that will impact that score. The best we can do as CX leaders sometimes is influence other leaders. And so that's why I'm telling you, get your goals right, number one. Make sure they are clear and aligned and business focused, not just about customers, but business focused. And then communicate. How can you get those ambassadors around you? How can you share the wealth with these other leaders so they really understand that if you win, everybody wins? And then if you are experimenting, if you have things on your roadmap and you're not sure what the payoffs will be, you need to at least project what those outcomes could be. One of my clients actually just talked about a customer journey initiative. And when we talked about the goals, she was in this really awkward position because the leaders basically said, everybody needs to understand journey mapping, which sounds great, but why? And when you ask that question directly, sometimes you see a lot of blank stares looking back at you. And that's because they have not determined why they need that skill. What are they going to do with all these people who are mapping the journey? What are they going to do with the results? How are they going to decide what to prioritize and where the resources go? If you cannot justify your existence in a way that is connected to business goals, then other people can't either. And this is one of those hard truths of customer experience. I want you to succeed. I want your organizations to succeed. I want you to realize that, you know what? If you speak differently, if you craft your goals differently, if you approach things differently, that also allows you to say no, to start setting up some limits and saying, you know what you're asking me doesn't really fit into our goals this year. If you want to shift goals, if you want to shift priorities, we can do that. But let's have that conversation, because otherwise everything might get dumped on customer experience. So set yourself up for success. There is an article I wrote earlier in the year. It was one of the first ones of 2023, I think. And it has all sorts of ideas about this. It's called Your 2023 Customer Experience Plan, Strategies, Videos, and Resources. And let's say you might be listening to this in 2025 or 2026. I bet it will still apply. It's all about how to really look forward, how to create a plan so that you can be successful. We'll make sure that that link is in the show notes, but really make sure your goals are right. Number one. So please take the time, take a step back, get your goals right, and start a communication strategy, an ambassador plan, whatever you need to get other leaders on board. At the end of this year, I want you to look back and think, wow, we actually did all the things we set out to do, and look at all of the people that are ambassadors to this program and to our strategy now. That's pretty exciting. All right, this is a great question. I really feel for all of you leaders out there dealing with this reality. You can do this, And we have the resources to help you. So please check out experienceinvestigators.com for all sorts of free resources like building your goals. We have something called a SMIRC goal checklist that can help you build your goals. We have a success statement workbook, all sorts of things that will guide you through this process. Excellent question. Keep up the great work, and I can't wait to talk to you next week. To learn more about our strategic approach to experience, check out free resources at experienceinvestigators.com, where you can sign up for our newsletter, our Year of CX program, and more. And please follow me, Jeannie Walters, on LinkedIn.